Distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General, I am very pleased to welcome you today. I know that there has been some uncertainty, and I thank all members of the Advisory Committee for your flexibility, given that the session that you were supposed to hold in August was not possible and had to be deferred to this stage because of the liquidity crisis, as you know, in the United Nations, which is a circumstance that is out of our control. But we are very happy to host you here today, and we are happy that you can carry on with your important work as stated by the Human Rights Council President. So I also would like to join the President in congratulating those members who were elected for a new term in the committee, in particular Ms. Misna Omair Alomair and Ms. Alessandra Debulski. Like the President said, your expertise is vital to this think tank of the leading intergovernmental UN body on human rights. And I would also like to join the President in congratulating the committee for the milestone achieved in terms of gender parity. This is a welcome development. The President has just provided you with a very good overview of the recent and upcoming activities of the Human Rights Council. In line with our practice, I will share with you the latest developments from the point of view of the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the United Nations Secretary General broadly, issues that are falling within the scope of this advisory committee's priorities and mandates. As you know, the advisory committee currently has 5 studies, including 4 new mandates since you met last February. This reflects the increasing importance that the Council has placed in your expertise and the growing number of issues that states wish to consider from a human rights perspective. One key development that touches on all of your mandates was the adoption of the Pact of the Future by the United Nations General Assembly in September. The Pact reaffirms human rights as one of the 3 pillars of the United Nations and commits to address the immediate and emerging challenges facing the world with actions to take under sustainable development and financing, international peace and security, science, technology, innovation, and digital cooperation, youth and future generations, and transforming global governance. Human rights have been incorporated across the Pact, along with the Global Digital Compact and the Declaration on Future Generations, which were also adopted by states. Distinguished members, in relation to your study on the human rights implications of new and emerging technologies in the military domain, the Pact of the Future includes an action for states to seize the opportunities associated with new and emerging technologies and address the potential risks posed by their misuse, including commitments to develop an instrument on lethal autonomous weapon systems and to assess the military applications of artificial intelligence. The use of digital technologies in artificial intelligence is a common thread in many of your new mandates. In particular, the studies on disinformation, on technology-facilitated gender-based violence, on artificial intelligence and good governance. And the common thread, as I say, binding these studies is the potential for technology to either amplify human vulnerabilities or create mechanisms for rights protection. On your study on the impact of disinformation in human rights, I would like to share with you that the UN Secretary General last month said that with the proliferation of deep fakes, the impossible and the unverified become credible and in an instant. Similarly, the High Commissioner for Human Rights, Mr. Volker Turk, raised concern about the viral spread of disinformation on social platforms and in some traditional media, including state-sponsored and state-funded disinformation campaigns, sowing divisions and hatred, and discrediting human rights defenders, independent journalism, and international institutions. The High Commissioner has also highlighted disinformation as a consequence of shrinking civil spaces, which in turn weakens public debate and evidence-based policy, He has also regularly emphasized the specific risk in the context of holding elections, particularly through the use of generative artificial intelligence. The Pact of the Future includes a commitment to build and sustain peace, including by addressing the risks posed by disinformation, while respecting, of course, the rights to freedom of expression and to privacy. I suspect that finding the balance of these rights will be an important part of the committee's work. The Global Digital Compact also mentions disinformation in the context of information integrity and its importance to realizing human rights and meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. In the Digital Compact, states committed to facilitate access to clear, accessible, science-based information for all, and to roll out digital media and information literacy curricula to enhance resilience to disinformation. In June, the UN Secretary-General launched the United Nations Global Principles for Information Integrity. The 5 principles, which aim to empower rights holders, are societal trust and resilience, healthy incentives, public empowerment, independent, free, and pluralistic media, and transparency and research. Finally, it is worth reflecting on the work of the Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Opinion and Expression, who you will hear from during this session as well. Her reports to the Human Rights Council and the General Assembly have covered the topics of disinformation and freedom of opinion, disinformation in the context of armed conflicts, and gendered misinformation. Distinguished members, turning to your related study on artificial intelligence systems and good governance, your mandate builds upon the Council's work on this area, including the September 2023 panel discussion on good governance and the digital divide. At that discussion, the High Commissioner underscored the strong links between good governance and the fulfillment of human rights, including the social contract between people and institutions, and the focus on government serving the public rather than narrow interests or elite. He also highlighted some benefits and risks of artificial intelligence. Democratizing access to knowledge, turbocharging scientific progress, and increasing the capacity for processing information are important features, while also enabling manipulation and reducing trust, heightening surveillance, pervasive profiling, predictive policing, and automated justice systems. Similar to previous discussions on this topic by the committee, the High Commissioner said, AI-based decision-making blurs the lines of responsibility and accountability. The High Commissioner and his office continue to focus on this area, particularly in engagement with technology businesses, given the impact that such systems will have on everything from the rights to health, food, and work, to the rights to non-discrimination and privacy. The UN Secretary-General's high-level advisory body on artificial intelligence published its final report, Governing AI for Humanity, in September 2024, ahead of the adoption of the Global Digital Compact. The report also highlights the potential benefits to public health, food, and energy systems, and the risks where benefits are not distributed equitably and where bias, surveillance, and disinformation may arise. Among other recommendations, the advisory body calls for an AI capacity development network, a global fund for AI, and a global AI data framework to help provide guardrails and develop acceptable standards while addressing issues of equity. Distinguished members, turning to the study on technology-facilitated gender-based violence, many of the artificial intelligence and disinformation issues that I have just raised, as you know, are very relevant to this topic. In the Governing AI for Humanity report, there is a focus on artificial intelligence-related societal impacts, including references to sexualized deepfakes of women and girls, which could be a form of gender-based violence. The report included a survey on artificial intelligence and the Sustainable Development Goals, where AI experts, sadly, said that while they expected major or transformative positive impact from AI in some areas, They were least optimistic regarding AI's impact on gender equality. This is in line with the risks raised by the High Commissioner. At a speech at the Summit of the Future in September, he said that some decision makers were creating platforms, and I quote, creating platforms for abhorrent misogyny and hatred spewed online, designing technological systems that perpetuate male violence and gender discrimination. Male biases, I apologize. The Office of the High Commissioner is developing a new strategy on gender-based violence that focuses on root causes. In a 2023 report, UNICEF highlighted the higher likelihood of women and girls facing violence online, such as threats, cyberstalking, and sexual harassment. They urge action to better equip adolescent girls and young women with knowledge and skills on how best to safely navigate the internet and the need for regulatory frameworks to address online violence, while not restricting opportunities for positive experiences in the digital environment. I would also like to mention the importance of women's full, equal, and meaningful participation at all levels of decision-making, which the Declaration on Future Generations includes as an important achievement, as important to achieve gender equality and eliminating gender-based violence. Similarly, this year, the Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, released its General Recommendation number 40 on the topic of equal and inclusive representation of women in decision-making systems. Finally, on your new study on the implications of plastic pollution, which the President has also highlighted, I understand that you will also be hearing from the Secretariat of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee. And I would like to recall that in an open letter to the INC, the High Commissioner called for the Plastic Pollution Treaty to fully integrate human rights, highlighting the risks to the right to health, to a clean, healthy, and sustainable environment, and the disproportionate impact on women, children, indigenous peoples, and the disproportionate impact to, and vulnerable people living close to plastic production facilities. In the open letter, he also called for an integration of human rights safeguards in the operative text of the treaty, for action to be aligned with precautionary principle, prioritizing human and planetary health, ensuring that there is a just transition, and operationalizing the principles of equity and polluters pays. The Special Rapporteur on the implications for human rights of the environmentally sound management and disposal of hazardous substances and wastes has also previously reported on this subject, including a 2021 report to the General Assembly on the stages of the plastic cycle and their impacts on human rights. Distinguished members, I apologize for this detailed statement, but I hope that it will help to guide your work and give you some useful references. Like I said, your efforts are critical to building our understanding of all of these important issues, where there is a growing recognition that technological governance is fundamentally a human rights issue. Before concluding, let me assure you that we are doing our best from the Secretariat to ensure that your sessions in 2025 can be held as planned, and we will keep you duly informed of that. And I take this opportunity to thank the team of the Secretariat for all their support in preparing for this session. Let me conclude by assuring you of the Secretariat's full support for this session and wish you the best for your work ahead. Thank you very much.